All right, here we are in our 1988 BMW M5. I'm going to go for a little test drive here. And I have sufficiently warmed the car up, so don't worry about that. This is really one of the cars that I'm most excited about, or maybe that I've ever been most excited about. It's just a very, very cool machine. And the sounds that come out of this engine are just incredible. As I understand it, they made 1,340 88 M5s for the North American market, and 101 of them were Canadian market cars, which is what this is. Really, the only difference between a US and a Canadian market car, as far as I can tell, is the instrumentation. We've got gauges in kilometers per hour, along with an odometer in kilometers as well. The odometer reads 86,344 kilometers at the moment. And it's just the coolest car that I've driven in a long, long time. I don't know what else to say. This comes from a very, very good home. Unfortunately, a really great guy and one of my friends and customers passed away a couple of years ago. This is the third car of his that I'll be selling. The first one I sold when he was still around. He sent me his Mercedes 500e Rentec. So it's a 6-liter Rentec. It was a crazy car, which I sold on Bring a Trailer, maybe in the summer of about 2020, I think. And then I think it was 2021. It might have been last year. I can't remember. I sold his 94 928 GTS for his family after he passed away. That was the dark gray car previously or originally owned by Charlie Sheen, which I also sold on Bring a Trailer. And now there's the 88 M5. It's just a really cool car, and it's fun to go through these roundabouts in it. And the sounds this engine makes are just fabulous. So yeah, it's just a really cool machine. I don't even know what else to say. 256 horsepower, which doesn't feel like a lot these days. I think a V6 Honda Accord has more than that. But the way it's available in this car makes it a lot of fun to drive. And it's one of those cars that you can have a lot of fun driving under 70 miles an hour. You're actually working through the gears to tap into that power. This is a Schwartz black car on the outside with black leather interior. And from what I've read, apparently black is rare on M5s. I wasn't aware of that. I thought they were pretty much all black, but from what I've read, black is fairly rare apparently. My late customer, the late owner of this car, I'm selling it for the family now. He bought this car from Enthusiast Auto Group in Cincinnati, fairly well-known BMW guys, in 2016. And I've got a link to the original classified listing from AEG. I'm just going to turn around and go through these roundabouts again. I was at about 4,000 RPMs there. Here's 5,000 at about 66 miles an hour. And we'll settle down just because there are a lot of police on this road and I don't need to do anything crazy. About 118 kilometers per hour. But he bought it from AEG in Cincinnati. It'd be interesting to have a look at their write-up on the car. They did a huge service to the car. A few years later, the owner, who's a Minnesota-based guy, took the car down to the workshop, which is in a suburb of Chicago. Hinsdale, maybe. I'd have to look at the paperwork. And they did a huge service on the car, and you can see the receipts. But the owner of this car was the kind of guy that just opened up his wallet and did everything or anything that could potentially need to be done ever. And you can see that receipt, which I think adds up to almost $30,000. So that's a pretty hefty bill for a car that came out of Enthusiast Auto Group, who I think is pretty well known for selling great stuff. Are you gonna stop, guy? Thank you. And they did a $7,500 service, and then 3 years later he did 30 grand with the workshop. And you can read through what all of that was. I took a quick glance, and there's lots of suspension, front end work. But it's worth having a look at. Needless to say, he maintained his cars to an insane degree. And there's documentation going all the way back to the original bill of sale with the car. It was advertised at AEG as a 2-owner car from new, which means now it's a 3-owner car, and we're selling it for the 3rd owner. It's just so rock solid and a lot of fun. And it was a pretty amazing car back in 1988, no doubt. I don't ever want to stop driving it. And we will just go past the shop and on up the highway. And these people should be getting over, but you know, who needs to be a hero, I suppose. Today's a cold day, about 40 degrees, but last week, believe it or not, it was 80 degrees here. very hot day, and I took it out. I turned on the AC. I actually had to turn the AC down because on the coldest setting it was too cold. So the AC works perfectly. My low fuel light's on, and has been for the whole test drive, but I don't want to fill up at the gas station right here because they don't have very high octane stuff without ethanol in it. But it is absolutely one of the coolest cars that's ever come through my inventory. The previous owner is a no expense spared kind of guy, and his passing was quite unexpected and a pretty sad time. He used to come on my Walleye 1000 rally every year in he'd usually bring his BMW Z1, if you remember the little Z1 Roadsters, the doors that push down into the body. Just a great enthusiast and a neat guy. And he loved sharing his cars. He always tried to talk me into driving his Z1 switch, and he'd drive my 250 SL and I'd drive his Z1 on the back roads of Minnesota and Wisconsin. So I'm just gonna pull into the shop here. There's a bunch of traffic at the moment, but it's a car that I would keep driving if I had the time, inclination, or if I had the money. I suppose I'd probably buy it. A very, very cool machine. With a great service and ownership history. That's the 1988 BMW M5.